What's going on, everybody? And in this week's lesson, we're going to check out one of my favorite songs off Metallica's self-titled, quote-unquote, Black Album. Now, I know Master of Puppets is all the rage. Everybody's been reinvigorated. All the youngins are ready to learn that song. And now, I remember my very first guitar lesson way back before the interwebs was even a thing, because I'm old. I showed up on my first guitar lesson, and my teacher was like, "What do you want to learn how to play?" And I was like, "Master of Puppets!" Right? So I know the feeling. But Master of Puppets is hard, it's long, it's complicated, and it takes a while, especially to get that nasty downstroke going on. Alright? So in the meantime, there are lots of awesome Metallica songs that can help us get there and add to our repertoire of metal songs. And The God That Failed is an awesome song to play, and it has one of my favorite solos. Now, I was actually just going to do a video on the solo, but I polled, and everyone was like, "No, do the whole song, do the whole song." So here we are. We're going to quickly run through the whole song. It won't be extremely detailed, but we'll try to get over the main parts because the verse can be a little tricky. The rest of it is pretty straightforward, and then we'll do the solo. Now, I'm not going to sit here and play the whole thing because, copyright, all that kind of stuff. I want to try to avoid that, but you can follow me on Instagram at @AxeCreation, and you can see the playthrough of the solo, up to speed, and all that kind of stuff. Now, as far as tuning goes, this is one of the, if not the only, correct me if I'm wrong, let me know down in the comments, but this is one of the only songs that Metallica is tuned down a half a step, right? E flat, standard, and that's about it. So let's jump in, right? So the opening of the song has split octaves going across both guitars, 5th string, 10 to 7, 14 to 7. Right? And they go back and forth, and then the main riff kind of kicks in. And you have this idea. Right? Cool little riff, single note, not too challenging. It's basically centered around this E power chord here in 7th position, 5th string, 7th position, E, right? 98% of everything Metallica does is based off of E5, right? That's our key. It's an E minor or some variation of an E minor sounding key, right? So we are on this 7th position power chord, and we're going to play pinky on the 10th fret, which is the minor 3rd, right? So we're making that minor chord, and we're going to double up the first note, so 10, 10, 7, and then low string open. And that's the motif for the entire riff, right? So it's going to be 10, and then 9, and then 10. And then we're going to grab 7th fret, the 4th, the 7th fret of the D string. And then we're going to come down and grab the 5th fret right there. All right? And then you have this little fill that we'll get into. Now, I've seen this transcribed a lot of different ways. I'm not sure how Metallica plays it live. I don't think I've ever seen a video of it, nor have I looked. I just like to play it here. I think it makes a lot of sense because it really outlines the power chord shape really nicely. Then we have this little descending fill, that little riff, and that comes across a couple times in the song. We're going to do it's not really a trill, but a hammer-on pull-off, 4th fret of the D string, 4 to 5. Come right down on the A string, 7, 5, 4. Down the 2, and then grab 5, 3 on the low string. Now, the main riff is 1, but I'm pretty sure that they grab the 2nd fret here. Okay? 2 0 0 0. Okay, now that gets us into the main verse, and this is really what I wanted to talk about because there are some subtle changes that happen in the riff, right? So that's our motif rhythm, but he's really playing it off the 1st fret for almost all of it. All right, that's our idea. F to E. And then he jumps up and grabs 3. Now that repeats, he starts singing, and then after they repeat it, I think 2 more times through, he does the rhythm entirely on F, right? So I'll play it once and then do that. Like that. And now this is, you see this in Metallica. Check out this video here. I talk about it. They basically take the riff and they just move it up a whole step, or in this case, a half a step, right? It creates this false illusion of tension in your songwriting, and Metallica does it pretty often. We're going to do the same rhythm, but now we're basing it on the F, or I should say, we're going to come back to the F, right? So we're going to play the power chord, lift up, play open, and then come back. Like that, right? And then the same rhythm on 1 and 3. And then they put a little, the ending of the open, I don't know how better to explain it, right? You're doing this. And then it's 3-0-0-0. And that's how they get out of that verse riff. So that could be a little tricky. That's the main section I wanted to talk about. It's really straightforward, right? You get back into that riff, and then the chorus happens, and it's a variation of that. Right? A slightly different rhythm there, but the notes are the same, and then you're gonna play E5, G. And then we're gonna move it down to the low string, basically going down to B, or moving from the 1 chord to the 5 chord if you want to geek out on music theory. And then it's B, A, 7-5. You repeat the E, and then you come back to the B, right? But now on the second time, right, you're gonna play it here, but then you're gonna change it to B major. Come down to 3. Now, what I mean by changing it to B major, again, remember before I said that that's a minor arpeggio. So we're doing the same thing on B, so technically it's B minor. Right? So that 10th fret is the 3rd. The 3rd makes chords major or minor. So if I move that up 1 fret, hopefully your ear can hear that that's a much brighter sound, and that is technically B major. Okay? So they're kind of toying with E harmonic minor there. Right? So some fun there. And that's pretty much the whole song. I'm going to skip the solo for a second because there is a variation on the outro riff, right? Where they kind of bring back this, that octave slide, but then they have this one little section. This is just the outro of the song. And it goes like this. And then they do that little slow retard out of the song. All right, so let's talk about that really fast. Now, this is kind of interesting. They do that G to E rhythm, and then they do a 7-0 pull off, 3-0 pull off with some chugs on the E5, O2, right? And then they replace the G, E octave with G, E notes down here, but more to this kind of 16th note, 8th note rhythm. So it's... And then they do the same thing off of the B without the pull-off. Then you go back to the main riff and you kind of repeat it for 2 measures. And then you start adding some chugs on that E. Like that, okay? And then you bring back that fill that we saw a couple of times in the song, and it's, you play it 3 times, and then you kind of slow down near the end. Musically, that's called a retard. have a clean guitar that picks out an E minor chord. Okay? Now, when you play that 3 times, the lead guitar is going to harmonize, and the harmony starts on the G string. Basically, you're coming down a B minor scale, if that's the way you want to look at it. We're going to do not the trill, but the hammer-on pull-off 2 and 4 of the G string. And it comes straight down on the D string, 5, 4, 2, and then the same thing on the A string, 5, 4, 2. Like that, okay? So that's essentially all the parts in the song. Again, just a quick gloss over of The God That Failed. Really fun. So now that we've covered the song form itself, or the rhythm guitar parts, let's check out the lead guitar, and I'm quickly going to throw on some obnoxious lead tones. So now that we got a crazy lead tone going on, let's talk about this. Now, I like the solo a lot. A lot of his solos on his Kirk Hammett solos on this album are kind of accessible. It's not necessarily his flashiest or his best solo, but I just like it a lot because it's fun to play. And that goes for a lot of the Black Album. It's just fun to play. Like the Unforgiven solo. That's another really fun one to play. Okay? Maybe we'll do that. I always had a lot of fun playing that clean section. But I digress. So this solo is going to start off, right? You're coming out of the chorus. Of the B chord, sorry. And then the lead guitar is going to do now we're going to do a legit trill, 7 and 10. And you can use your ring finger, but I prefer my pinky. And then you drop that down a half step. All right, that's how you get into the solo. And then you have... That's kind of the opening idea of the solo. So again, Kirk Hammett, we're in E minor pentatonic for the most part, mixing in some F sharps, getting the E minor sound. All right, so we're in 12th position, think box 1 pentatonic. That's where we are. So it's cross string minor third on E, so E minor, look at that. 14, 12, 14, and I would use my middle finger. This way I can bend 14 to the G, up the whole step to the B, right? And then come down 12 on the B, grab F sharp or the 11. There's our minor sound, or I should say the second, which gets you out of pentatonic. And it's, a little grace note, back up to 12, 11, 14. Again, another hammer-on pull-off kind of theme for this song, 11, 12, down the 7 of the G string. Mimic the third, come down the 9 on the D string, and I like to do a little grace note. Okay, now we're going to do this little cross string thing where he basically walks up the E minor scale on the B string. 5, 7, 8, 10, 12, back down, 10, 8, 7, steps up to 8, continues down, 7, 5, down to 4. Again, there's a little bit of that harmonic minor, going back up, 5, 7, 8, 10, landing on 12. Now, I've seen this transcribed as tremolo picked, but I think it sounds a little cleaner if I just cross string with the open E. But if you wanted to, I think that sounds messy, right? So I prefer. Like that. I think that's really clean, right? And you can slide up to that 8th there, get a little grace note in there, and then after that, you're gonna slide up to 12th fret, little double stop, and then you can kind of strum tremolo pick down. Like that, right? And then we're back to E minor pentatonic with some pre-bends on the 14th fret of the G string. That's our idea right there. you get a nice boomer bend right there. 14 and 15 of the G and B string, but bend 14, hold 15. Right? Then we have a little octave melody. Like that. We're basically, again, it's the first 5 notes of the minor scale, right? 7, 9, 10, 12, 14. And then 12, 10, back up to 14, 12, and then 10, 9, 7. Right, and if you can just legato or just slide all the way through there, go for it, right? And then the next lick we have right there. We're basically 9, 7, 6, cross string 9, and then land on 7 of the G. And then you can add a little squealy pinch harmonic there, go for it, and then you have that little run right there. Now here's where the speed starts kicking in. So again, it's still going to be challenging for our beginner intermediate players out there. But again, here we're kind of playing with this B minor idea. Again, just like that. So we're going to be 14 and 15, 16 on the G string, and then 14, 15, 17. And then the same thing higher. But you have to grab 17 of the B string there. And then land on B or the 19th fret of the high string, right? Okay, and that is a B minor scale, right? We can play our scales. Every minor scale, major scale, modal scale, whatever, can be played 3 different ways. And this pattern is one of them. Right? One of 3. Learn them. So we're going to take that right up to 19 and then start doing this idea. 3 times. Okay? And then one of those. And again, classic Kurt Hammett pull-off idea here. Right? And then it kind of changes into that. And then we start this group of 16th notes. That's our little run, right? And you can slur that, you can pick that. I don't really care. 19, 17, we're going down B minor, just so we know. 19, 17, 15, 14, there's our group of 4. And then basically go 17, do the same thing. It's a sequence. 17, 15, 14, 12. 15, 14, 12, 10. 14, 12, 10, 9. 12, 10, 9, 7. 10, 9, 7, 8 on the B string. And then repeat those last 2 notes. Like that. And then the fill comes in. And then you get big Kurt Hammett bend. And this is super, I'm not going to use the word cliche, but this is something Kurt Hammett does all the time. So let's check it out. So big bend, 22nd fret of the high string. That's our rhythm. Wow, 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 wow. Right? And then we start doing this. We have that little idea. What is that? 19, 22. And then hammer on. Cross string. 22 on the B string, back up to 19. And then you kind of get that kind of pentatonic-y, unison kind of bend. Like that. And then you have this pattern. Again, Kurt Hammett does this all the time, right? Where you have this pull-off lick from 22 to 19, and then grabbing the B string. And you can see this in lots and lots and lots of rock solos. But what he tends to do is he'll do the pull-off once, and then twice, and then twice, and then once. And, you know, you can isolate that and practice it just doing it twice and then once. Right? You can see that a lot. If I drop that down to box 1 pentatonic here. Right? You've heard Hammett do that a lot. You could even do the 15, 17, 15. Right? And then you're bending up to the root note there. So it's very similar. That's kind of what's going on here. And then we're going to do that. Bend on the 22nd fret. Pull off the 19. Bend it back up. Right? And then again, you're going right down B minor pentatonic. 22, 19, 19. I'm sorry, 21, 19, 21, 19. Bend 21 on the G string. $19, $21, right? That is the solo to The God That Failed. Like I said, if you want to see it full speed, play through, check out my Instagram at axcreation.com. And that is The God That Failed. Again, one of my favorite songs off the Black Album. The whole B-side is killer just because the A-side was all the singles and super overplayed, right? So as you get reinvigorated to learn your Master of Puppets, that's a complicated song. It's fast. It's way harder than this. So we can kind of fill the gaps, get our Metallica fill in by checking out this really fun song, The God That Failed, off the Black Album. All right? Down in the description below, I'll link to some of the tabs. And as always, let me know what you come up with. So until then, I'll see you next time. Thanks a lot.